If you thought the relentless wave of hate, jealousy, and sheer hostility directed at Caitlin Clark in the WNBA was finally starting to die down, you are dead wrong. The entire basketball internet is absolutely on fire right now, and it is all because a rival veteran coach just launched one of the most disrespectful, uncalled for, and downright petty attacks on Caitlin Clark that we have ever seen. This wasn't just a slight nod of disapproval or a subtle jab during a post-game interview. This was a targeted, off-the-record turned public claim stating that Caitlin Clark is not the greatest of all time, and even worse, that her entire legacy is nothing more than a manufactured hype train built by the media. Yes, you heard that right. At a time when the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark are literally carrying the weight of the WNBA on their shoulders, skyrocketing TV ratings to the moon, and selling out arenas across the entire country, the bitter internal politics of the league are still playing their dirty games. Today, we are going to expose the exact words this rival coach used, break down the unbelievable hypocrisy behind this statement, and uncover the real reason why the WNBA's so-called old guard is absolutely terrified of a 22-year-old point guard. What exactly was said that has Fever fans ready to riot? We are going to dive deep into all of it. But before we do, make sure you hit that subscribe button and leave a like on the video so you never miss out on these shocking inside stories. So let's set the stage and look at the reality of the situation. The WNBA season is in full swing, and the Indiana Fever's star point guard, Caitlin Clark, is out there doing exactly what everyone expected her to do, breaking records, hitting logo threes, and dropping jaws. But over the last few days, a very strange, uncomfortable tension has been brewing in locker rooms and press conferences around the league. If you have been following the season, you already know that from the very second Caitlin Clark stepped onto a professional basketball court, the veteran players and established coaches have tried everything in their power to physically and mentally bully her out of the league. We have seen the unnecessary hard fouls, the cheap shots away from the ball, the shoulder checks, and the incredibly awkward press conferences where opposing players literally roll their eyes at the mere mention of her name. But now, a line has been crossed. During a recent media interaction, a reporter asked the rival team's coaching staff about Caitlin Clark's undeniable impact on the game and where she stands in the GOAT conversation given what she has already achieved in her basketball career. The response that came back was something nobody expected. The veteran coach reportedly scoffed, laughed it off, and said, "Look, she is a great scorer, but she is not the GOAT. She hasn't won a ring at the professional level. She is a liability on defense. And all this greatness you guys talk about is just a product of ESPN's PR machinery pushing a narrative." Ouch. I need you to just let that sink in for a second. We are talking about a player who has single-handedly multiplied the viewership of women's basketball by 10. We are talking about the sole reason why these very same coaches and veteran players are now flying on chartered private flights instead of waiting in line at commercial airports. We are talking about the reason why brand deals are flooding into the league. And yet, this coach has the absolute audacity to dismiss her hard work and transcendent talent as just media hype. Now, saying someone isn't the GOAT is one thing. The GOAT debate is always subjective, and people will always argue between legends like Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, Maya Moore, and Cheryl Swoops. But to take Caitlin Clark's historic college career, her record-breaking rookie numbers, and her unparalleled court vision, and reduce it all to a PR stunt? That is not an opinion. That is pure, unadulterated disrespect. It was a calculated attack designed to undermine her credibility. And more than anything, it proved that the old stalwarts of the WNBA still cannot stomach the reality that a rookie came in and completely flipped their entire universe upside down in a matter of months. This brings us to the most important question. Where is all this intense hate coming from? Why do these veteran coaches and players despise Caitlin Clark so deeply? To find the answer, you don't need to look at basketball analytics. You need to look at human psychology. What we are witnessing right now is a textbook example of a scarcity mentality, fueled by pure, blinding jealousy. Let's take a look at the history of the NBA for a quick comparison. When LeBron James came into the league straight out of high school as the chosen one, did veteran NBA coaches go to the media and publicly humiliate him? When Victor Wembanyama entered the league last year with unbelievable hype, did you hear Greg Popovich or rival coaches calling him a media creation? No! The legends of the men's game welcomed the new stars with open arms. They wanted to test them, sure, but they respected them. They knew that a rising tide lifts all boats. They understood that a massive superstar brings more money, more fans, and more global attention to the sport. But in the WNBA, the script is entirely reversed. The veteran players and coaches have spent decades playing in half-empty high school-sized gyms. They have spent years begging for television coverage and better pay. Now, suddenly, arenas are sold out. Fans are waiting in lines wrapped around the building just to watch warm-ups. Major networks are fighting over broadcasting rights. But instead of saying thank you to the player who made this happen, their egos are incredibly bruised. According to insider reports and various locker room leaks, a massive inferiority complex has infected the rest of the league. They look at the fact that 18 million people are tuning in to watch the Indiana Fever, while other teams can barely scrape together 500,000 views, and it makes them furious. They feel like their past achievements are being ignored. When that rival coach said she needs a ring to be the GOAT, it was nothing more than a defensive mechanism. They know that in terms of raw skill, shooting range, and passing ability, Caitlin Clark is light years ahead of some of their best players. Because they cannot match her on the court, they have to move the goalposts. They bring up championships, they bring up defensive metrics, they bring up anything they can find to minimize her shine. They tried to break her on the court first. They threw everything at her. Double teams, face guarding from 94 feet, physical assaults masquerading as hard fouls, hoping she would mentally break down and complain. But she didn't. When the on-court bullying failed to stop her from dropping logo threes, they resorted to off-court character assassination. This is no longer just competitive basketball. It has become a deeply personal vendetta. But here is the absolute best part of this entire drama, and it is the one thing these bitter coaches and jealous haters simply do not understand. The more you hate Caitlin Clark, the more dangerous she becomes. If you listen to Indiana Fever head coach Christy Sides, or anyone who has ever worked closely with Caitlin, they will tell you that her biggest superpower isn't her jump shot. It is her resilience and her pure joy for the game. While rival coaches are out there spewing venom into microphones, Caitlin is in the gym, perfecting her step back and working on her conditioning. The coach who claimed she is a media creation apparently doesn't know how to read a stat sheet. We are talking about the NCAA all-time leading scorer. We are talking about a player who shattered single-season assist records, and a rookie who is putting up numbers that the WNBA has literally never seen before. When you are getting double and triple teamed every single night, taking a beating in the paint, and still dropping 20-plus points and 10-plus assists, you do not need the validation of a bitter, resentful coach. The numbers speak for themselves. The sold-out crowds speak for themselves. The skyrocketing jersey sales speak for themselves. And notice how Caitlin Clark handles this. She never goes to the press and cries about the lack of support. She doesn't play the victim. Her revenge is cold, simple, and absolutely brutal. She lets them talk. She absorbs the hate. And then, in the very next game, she walks onto the court against that exact coach's team, pulls up from 35 feet out, sinks a devastating three-pointer right in their face, and jogs back on defense with a smirk on her face. That is true GOAT mentality. You cannot teach that level of cold-blooded confidence. The WNBA is standing at a massive crossroads right now. The league's front office has to make a decision. Are they going to allow their biggest cash cow, their ultimate superstar, to be the victim of petty, jealous locker room politics? Or are they going to step in and remind these bitter veterans who is currently paying the bills? Because one thing is absolutely certain. We are living in the Caitlin Clark era. Everyone else is just renting space in it. The very people who are criticizing her today are the exact same people who will be depending on her ticket sales to keep their franchises afloat tomorrow. The disrespect has to stop, but until it does, Caitlin is just going to keep embarrassing them on the hardwood. What do you guys think about this massive drama?